Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I just came from the garden and just looking things over. I'm going to be going into uh, this garden very soon. The weather has been cooperating and is getting ready to change. But I think that I'm going to go in and look at what will be done with the fruit trees. Fruit trees are one of my favorite items in my orchard, and I think that um, the kiwi vine is also one of my favorites. It's a beautiful vine. It just grows and grows and grows. But I like the fact that I'm using the hello. How you doing? All right. Uh, I did. Oh, you gave me some information about Apple, and I think you're correct because this is a Granny Smith because the one I ate that came off the same tree um, was tart yet sweet, but with all these markings on it, I kind of suspected that it was apple rust. But I kept thinking, where did it come from? So um, I did a little research and found some information there that was very interesting. And thank you for the thumbs up. Um, and the thing about it is, these apples are just beautiful to grow. I mean, they're beautiful trees. Uh, I have three, well, excuse me, six six new apple trees. Yeah, yeah, well, six new apple trees. And I'm just basically having a ball with them. But my producers, if I were to look at my producers on the property, that would have to be the peaches and also the apples. The the uh, the trees that are called plum trees, um, they had one of the trees, I'll put it that way, had white blossoms on it this year, and it looks like that tree is going to also be a tree that will, in fact, um, be a producer this upcoming year. But the weather here in Maryland has been so funny. My neighbor called me up today. He's an older person, almost 80, I would say, and he says, uh, what are you going to do about getting us some more bees on this property? Because we need the bees. Uh, oh, okay, you did the same thing. You loaded up on the peach trees because I have, let's see, one, two, three, four. I think I got five. I think I have five peach trees. Um, my oldest peach tree, which is a haven, hail haven they call it, is always producing each year. Even if it produces a small amount, it still produces. The Georgia that I have for some reason has never really produced anything. Uh, it just have not produced anything really. And so, but the tree now is healthier because of what I did to the tree. I actually, excuse me, actually pruned the tree back real hard. Once I got it pruned back real hard, I actually um, removed some of the branching that I know wasn't going to ever produce any fruit. Because sometimes when the branches get almost as thick and as big as the actual trunk of the tree, that's basically just wood. So I get rid of that. I want healthy limbs that are producers. But because I don't grow them to be producing wood, the trees. So I cut the pieces up and I lay them down at the base of the tree and I allow that and you'll be amazed how quick those branches they could be an inch around and they'll go into the soil so quickly that you will ask yourself where did those all these limbs I'm putting around these trees, where are they? They're going into the soil and they're feeding your tree. And that's what they're doing. So I keep doing that. I keep feeding them with leaves, and I keep feeding them with grass clippings, and I keep feeding them with. And when I say feeding them with grass clippings, I never get my neighbors. grass clippings because some of my neighbors actually spray their grasses for different things, and I refuse to put that on my property. Um, I'm very apprehensive about ordering compost from the city or going to. We have in Maryland. We have some dumps that were actually, uh, you could come in and pick up as much of the compost as you can carry in your trucks, and it's all free. But you have to live in the county for some reason. But when what you're getting is you're getting all of the leaves and all of the grass clippings that everybody dumped and got rid of, and so when that happens, uh, you when that happens, you absolutely are getting uh, you know items that you don't have any history or knowledge on what they actually are or what they could contain. If they're raking leaves from the curbs that have oil from cars, if they're giving you grass that that from a yard where they spray, you don't want to put that on your property. So I'm very apprehensive about where I get my materials. Now I'll take it from a tree, but it's got to be what they call chips, and so I found an easier way to dump the chips on my property so that I don't have to move them. Once I dump them, I can leave them there, and they'll just sit there and turn into the blackest soil you ever want to see, and then they'll get loaded up. Where I live at, they'll get loaded up with night crawlers, and I'm not talking about small night crawlers. I'm talking about night crawlers that are so thick and strong that when you go to pick them up, you can feel in your hand that they're healthy, that they're vibrant, um, and you could try to fish with them, but a lot of times they're too big for your hook. These worms, once they get in that compost pile, and you got the right food in there for them, they will eat that stuff up. People say use the red wigglers. The red wigglers are mostly surface worms, and they eat faster, and they produce more waste because everything they're doing is a bit faster. But the night crawlers that I have found, um, that they are very big and they're healthy. And I loaded up one morning. I was going fishing and I put about 2 dozen in there. And I said, people come around and they saw the worms I was using. They said, "Where do you get those?" And I said, "These didn't come from Walmart. These are from my backyard." But um, I'm working on a plan to get more bees in my location, and that's what I'm working on now. I'm actually thinking of creating a environment where bees can always feel welcome and come and eat. The honeybee is having a hard time, and we were talking about that today in one of my meetings with my neighbors, and he was telling me that he think that when they spray the mosquitoes, that's what's killing out a lot of the bees. And I'm not going to disagree with him on that because I don't have all the facts. So what I am going to do is do some research. I did see some bees this year. I'm on a little bit of, I think about an acre, under an acre. I'm definitely under an acre, about fifth of an acre, something like that. But the bees, I have seen honeybees, but there were very few. I mean, I could count them actually, the ones I've seen this year, all spring and summer. I think, and the amazing thing about it is that in the early spring, I don't see the bees. When it gets mostly towards the late spring and summer, I start seeing bees, and it's very few. And they're always on the near the ground eating it's like a white blossom that is grown along with clovers, and the bees seem to love that for some reason. So what I'm going to do is create an environment where I can have the bees in on my property, feeding on the blossom of my fruit trees, the raspberries, the blueberries, the blackberries, and that's what I want to do. That's my next step, creating an environment. Oh, okay, okay. Let's see. Okay, I did not know that. Thank you for that information, brother. I appreciate it. Okay, let's see. Plants, advice on plants. You have a plant that's getting extremely large and you would like to get some advice on how to manage your plant. I think that's what you're asking me here. The only thing I know, if I have a plant uh, I'll give you an example. I purchased a cherry tree. It's called a tortellini, Titarian, I think is what they call it. And the cherry tree that I purchased from a store, God, I hated that store. I'm glad I don't deal with them anymore. But they sold you fruit trees. They were like $10 a piece. Um, and you figured you're getting a bargain, and you were not getting a bargain because they would a lot of times they would mix the trees up, and then they would send you 6 or 7 trees, uh, uh, and they would just die. The tree would just die, and I think it was called USA Nursery or something like that. And they had a sister company that had a different name. I can't remember the name of it. But at any rate, um, they sold me lots of trees at one point. And I remember I just started out and I didn't know what I was doing. I bought all these trees, I put it in, and they were like thin. They were thinner than an actual writing pencil. And I put them in, and then they started putting size on. And then found out that all the apple trees that I purchased were crab apple trees as opposed to Honeycrisp, Granny Smith, and none of them were the correct trees. They were not the correct trees. They all, after 3.5, 4 years, they started producing crab apples. And I said, how could this happen? What is going on here? And I called them up, and they had no answers for me, and they were giving me the runaround. Um, then they said, we can't send you none this year. We'll correct it, and we'll send you something next year. Had a conversation with my lady, and she said, stop buying from them. If they can't get those right, stop buying from them. You're wasting time and you're wasting money, and you should go to a company, order it, and get them right, and then be done with it. And the company I called after that was Stark Brothers, and it was one of my neighbors on the YouTube. They absolutely said, "Why don't you try Stark Brothers?" I knew about Stark Brothers, but I didn't know that people that are in my circle had respect for the company. I called them up. If a tree died, they took care of it. If a tree was a problem with it, whatever, they took care of it. What else? Um, they had no problem with sending the stuff right away. Bam! It was. I never had stuff that was sent that quick because when I was buying from the other company, it would take 2.5 weeks sometimes for that tree. And when that tree would come in the mail, it would be dried out, it would be dead. I could order 10 trees, and out of 10 trees, I might have four that's alive. I said, something's wrong with this. Because, and then they said, we'll send you another one. And there's another two, close to 2.5, 3 weeks. I said, I can't keep doing this. And I didn't know because I never, experienced purchasing online, which is trees. So at any rate, the company's still open. They changed their name after somebody shut them down. Uh, they had a lot of bad reports about them, and so uh, I'm doing better now because I replaced every single tree with. No, I did. No, I did. I replaced all the trees but one, two, three, except for three. They were actually cherry trees, and they were producing cherries. Yeah. So, but some of the trees I got rid of, and I said, okay, here's what I want to do. I want to go ahead and start dealing with stock brothers, stock bros, they call them now. Yeah, but I'm desperate to get some collard greens and kale in the ground this fall. Um, we got some rain. It's going to rain all week here in Maryland. And once it starts raining all week here in Maryland, I'm going to put the seeds out. I'm going to do what they call direct sow. Um, I'm going to try that. And also, I'm going to grow some tree kale this year. I have some already growing, um, and but I look at how beautiful the plant is and huge leaves and everything. I said, yeah, I like this. I said, I don't know what they taste like, but so far, the tree, or the excuse me, the kale, the tree kale is big, is beautiful. I'm having success with them, so I want to only grow majority of the items on my property that are successful growers. I don't want to just put something in just to be putting something in if it doesn't do well. Whatever tomato I find, if it does well on my property, that's what I'll grow. If it's and remember, good people to overgrow things. If you know that four tomato plants will do you just fine, grow 10. Uh, Grow 15 at the beginning of the year. Put them in little pots so that way, if anything dies, if anything breaks off or whatever, you still have a number of plants. And that's if you grow your own plants. And I like growing my own plants because I kind of refuse to spend money I don't have to um, when it comes to um, putting in plants. Uh, I buy a pack of seeds for $2 and whatever, and I got. I'm using them for one, two, three, about 3 years before most of the seeds are dead. Um, and what I'm doing is I'm putting the plants in the ground, like this cucumber here. Um, this is grocery store quality, and the thing about this cucumber here is that this cucumber might have cost me, I want to say maybe a penny. Maybe a penny. I grew a lot of these plants this year, and the pack is still full of plants. So what I plan on doing this year is I have some really I have some that are really well developed. They are uh, uh, really ripe. So those are the ones I'm going to get my seeds from. I always try to get my seeds from number one, the tomato that was born first. That's the strongest one out. That's just something I do. And I let it go all the way into hello out there. Uh, I let it go all the way to maturity, and then that's the one I collect the seeds from. I only get heirloom tomatoes, and when it comes to, because I think it's a worthwhile investment to buy seed that you can keep replanting. Now, the benefits of saving seeds, as some of you already know, because I know all of you are very knowledgeable gardeners as well. Uh, and it goes like this: the majority of those seeds, when you take them and put them in, they already know your soil. They already know your soil, and you don't have to train them up to when you put them in the ground and they have to get familiar with your soil, and then once they get familiar, then and only then will they actually start vigorously growing. But when you put a seed in there that's already been in that same soil last year, it already has some of the genetics of your soil already ingrained in it. So you don't have to, have it to adapt to your soil. The seeds that I'm saving this year are tomatoes and also the cucumbers. And the cucumbers did really well this year. Tomatoes did outstanding this year. I love growing things. I think the thing about it is saving money. I love it. I like grow. I like to see. It's a gentleman here, lead farmer, 73. He puts up some videos and he takes really good shots of things, and I really like that. He's a knowledgeable individual. He takes pictures and he looks in and he shows you what he grew. If something didn't do well, he's honest enough that he'll tell you didn't do well, so I'm going to try something next year. But this year, I'm going to show you my apple trees, or he'll say, I'm going to show you this, I'm going to show you that. And you'll go walk through with him in his property, and he'll show you and honestly give you information that could actually help you. And I like to deal with gardeners and farmers that do that because it helps everyone. If you're having problems with your soil, what can you do to resolve issues with your soil? And you can tell when you have problems with your soil. There, all you got to do is look at the plants that it's producing. Yellowy leaves and things like that, or mold on your plants, or plants that grow extremely slow. You have some issues. You have some things going on with your soil. Um, One of the cheapest and absolutely free things you could do with your soil to make your soil a lot better, or to improve your soil, or make your soil actually great soil, is you just keep adding organic matter to it. It is that simple. When people put the commercials up, and they showing you these little containers, and they saying this will make your plant grow so quick you won't even believe it. It's only $25 for a little bottle. This is concentrate or whatever. When they do that, yeah, yes, absolutely, it will help other people. Absolutely. Um, okay, all righty, thank you. The thing about it is, I like saving money, and I know there's other gardeners out there that like saving money, and they like to garden in such a way that each year they're not just spending large quantities of money just to grow a few tomatoes. Who wants to do that? The whole point of growing a garden is to grow superior fruit or superior vegetables, better tasting, healthier for you. Uh, and here's a little a tip here, which I really like: to get 40, 50, 60 pounds or more of tomatoes and spend pennies doing it. Even if you don't, I mean, you could actually not spend anything to do it. I mean, because there are people out there that farm and garden, and they don't spend any money on their garden. They go out there and get some containers that they found around on the farm, put a couple holes in them, or they just direct sow, and they put the seeds in the ground, and they feed it with grass, and they feed it with uh, teas that are made from composters and cow manure and things like that. I mean, these are things that garden stores will never ever tell you. They won't put it in the books. They won't put it in the books. There are only certain books that you can absolutely get, that where you're dealing with a gardener that says, I'm going to write a book and it's going to say, this. And it's going to show you what was done to a farm, or what was done to a garden before we had the big box stores. Now that we have the big box stores, um, oh my God, thank you very much, brother. Oh my man, I appreciate that. Yes, thank you. Um, when you spend your money that you go out and work for, some of you go out from the house and you go work, some people work at home. But when you spend your money, you want to take that money, which is a tool to get things done. That's what it is. It's a tool. And if you use that tool wisely, you can say, I'll give you a good example. This example here. Um, you go to the store, buy a bag of apples, and see what they see what they cost nowadays. And God only knows what they sprayed in it to keep it. See, this is not pretty. But this wasn't sprayed. Does it taste better? Oh, absolutely. This apple tastes better than one that you buy from a grocery store. I had one last night. Beautiful apple. Here's the deal. I took $20. They sent me an apple tree. It came in the mail, big, thick, around, 4.5, 5 feet tall. Stuck it in the ground. cut it off at about 22 inches or up to the height of my knee because I want it to branch out. I don't want it branching out all the way up here. I want it to branch out down here, not up here. So I let it branch out low or lower. And I don't, and it got videos out there tell you put some fertilizer in the hole, put some certain what they call oh god bacteria or whatever in the hole and things like that. They tell you do all this strange stuff. Okay, let me put it like this. Mother Nature don't need you to do all that. All you got to do is put that tree in the hole and give it some water. And what you will see if you're dealing with a viable tree is it'll start growing on its own. Once it starts leafing out, you might want to add some compost to it, some compost tea to kind of, give it something. But the roots are designed to run into the soil and to gather nutrients. It's its whole function. It even excretes chemicals that break down hard materials so that they can use that as a food supply. Um, the trees don't need you. They don't need you at all. When you put fertilizer in a hole with it, when you put a tree in, here's what happens. In a lot of cases, the roots will stay right there in that hole eating. They're going to eventually branch out, but they're going to stay here longer because it's a food supply there. It's just nature. Now, when the food runs out, then they eventually branch out and go look for food. But when I put them in the ground, I want them to automatically go out and look for food. There's going to be enough food in their hole to start the ball game off, and then they're going to just start branching out and looking. Now, once those roots start looking for food, you'll see more and more leaf development on top. You'll see what your tree is doing. Then you start studying the leaves of the tree and see if they're deep, deep green. That tells you a lot about your tree. But if they're yellowing or off green, something's going on. You gotta say, all right, I need to find out what's going on with this soil. But if you have not added organic matter to that area, chances are some of your issues are right there. It's just that simple. It's real basic, but what they do, a lot of these companies, is they put a ton of information out all at once. And it gets you confused, and they're putting all this information out. You need this, you need that, you need this, you need that for your plant. I'm telling you, their job, and you all know it, is to excrete one thing from us: money. That's it. So while you're confused and you're buying books and you're buying tapes and you're buying bags of chemicals or waste products from the agriculture industry, the farming industry, ground up chicken feathers and chicken waste and urine from cattle and all that. While you're buying all this stuff that they basically have no use for it other than to sell it as fertilizer. Now it does make a good fertilizer, but you already have fertilizer on your property, and it comes in the form of weeds and grass and tree branches and tree leaves and all that stuff is there already. It's already there. It's already there. And if you don't have enough of it, guess what? Your neighbors got it. Your neighbors have. They put out these. You'll just see them get the sons out there and the granddad and stuff, and they rake up these clear bags of leaves every fall. They do it like clockwork. All you have to do is collect them. And then when you collect them, you bring them to your property. And you're going to feel kind of strange the first couple of times, but it'll save you a ton of money. You will get the leaves. You will take those leaves. You will put them out in a corner where you have your compost pile, that shaded area, and you will keep stacking. And don't worry about how much you have, because I've had piles that were like 900 pounds, 800 and 900 pounds of leaves that a landscaper was bringing to me, and he would dump. And the pile was so big. No, he had to have a tractor to bring the pile up onto the property. He had to have a tractor because two full-size 200-pound men could not move that bag that it was in. So he would dump it, and I would watch that pile go down, 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 down as the whole fall, winter went on. Now, that took once that took place, guess what, folks? When the summer came, that pile was down to 3 feet. You had a dry portion on top, which you could take a little rake and rake that off. But all that was under that was dark black gold. That's all it was. I'm getting excited just thinking about it because they were selling it in the store. They call it the soil conditioner, and it's like $4 or something a bag. And I said, wait a minute, it's the same stuff that the city is grabbing these bags. They take them to a plant, ground everything up, wet it down, and keep turning it, and then they put it in bags and sell it. Come on. And you take your hard-earned dollars, you go out there and you buy 8, 9 bags of it for your flower beds, your vegetables. You do it around your strawberry plants and everything, and you feel like you're actually doing something, but in reality, you're doing it backwards because Mother Nature started fertilizing, which is the correct way to do it, in the fall and in the winter. You're trying it in the spring and summer, which is completely backwards. And I understand because I've done it myself. I've done it myself because the books were telling me get 10, 10, 10, or get this fertilizer here and use that fertilizer in the spring, in the summer. And it says it takes anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks to break down. And then they started selling you a whole bunch of liquid fertilizers. And that liquid fertilizer wouldn't do anything, but you pour it on there and it would immediately start feeding, of course. But the plants would suck it up like a pig eating some slop. Because you have to, all of your plants are heavy feeders. That's how I look at it. And heavier feeders are any plants that are growing fast. Fast growing plants are heavier feeders. You want to make certain that they get the proper amount of water, and the right kind of water is very, very important. You want to get rainwater. If you can pull yourself away and build a rain gutter system. Because I did it about 5 or 6 years ago. Never looked back. I love it. I'm not paying the city of Baltimore money to stand out there and water 30 and 40 and 100 gallons of water a week, making them rich, while I sit there paying more to grow my vegetables. No, I will not do that. I will go out and get 2, 3, 4 food grade drums, and you can actually paint them up and they look pretty. You can actually paint them the same color in your house and all that stuff, so they kind of blend in. And you mine is a manifold system. It doesn't let any insects in. It does not run over. What it does is the water comes down the gutter, it runs into the drum. When they're full, it runs it the other way, back out through the gutter, downspout. And that's how it does it. And I'm happy with that system because right now that system out there is filled with water, over 100 gallons of water, and it cost me $0. And all summer long, I use that system. I put a ball valve in and everything, 3/4 inch PVC, beautiful system, beautiful system. And I like it because I have an on-demand pump. It's 100 pounds PSI. I can shoot water I can wash my car with that pump. And every time you let the trigger go on the handle, it stops the pump. That's on demand because once it reaches up to a 60 psi, it shuts that pump off. And I got 100-foot hoses running through it. And I go water my plants down, and I only water them when they dried out to a point because Mother Nature don't always rain every day, so you don't have to water something every day. You want to allow the plant to. You want to try to mimic nature as much as possible. So if it's every 3 days, if it's every 4 days, you stick that finger right there in the soil up to your knuckle, and if that soil is moist, you leave that plant alone. If it's dry, then you give it some water. Okay. Let's see. Actually, just water. Hmm. Okay. I love this. I love this. I appreciate all of you for stopping by and and seeing what I'm talking about. Someday they're gonna really get this right, and they're gonna have it where all of us can talk together. Where we can share the information, and I can say, "Oh, I'm going to the restaurant. I'll be back," and y'all can still have a conversation. But the thing about it is, if you love your garden as much as I do, and I know a lot of you do, I mean, it's crazy. It keeps me up day and night. I just, now our season is going into fall now, and then fall will be over before you know it. I'm already thinking about spring and summer, and the reason why I'm thinking about spring and summer because it's always exciting each year to see those tree blossoms come out, and then to see all of those smells from the sweet nectar coming from those trees. And I love my cherry trees the way they look when everything is said and done. I love it when they do their thing. But I'm so happy that I'm growing food. And now sweet potatoes this year, I haven't emptied them out and see what they look like yet. And I think I'm gonna film that. What do you think? You want to see what they look like? Because I don't know. I mean, because it's been a while. It's been a while. They've been in there, just sitting in there. They're growing in containers. But I think I want to keep doing sweet potatoes. White potatoes, I might, but the sweet potatoes, they were crazy this year. They just took off and started growing, and vines were everywhere. Corn, I might not do next year. I ate some of the corn. It was good. It was sweet. But I got to stop eating it raw because, it makes my stomach kind of upset. All right, this is the morning. Oh, yesterday, uh, the lady and I went to a benefit. We're singers and we did some songs, and I hope I can get a hold of some of the video and put it up. But we enjoy it. So we do what we do. I spend a lot of time practicing, so some people say, "Oh, you good," and she's just naturally great at it. But me, I have to really work at it and really keep my voice the way it should be. But at any rate, all those things are a joy in life, and also growing your garden is enjoying life. So I want to thank all of you for stopping by. And this is the Morning Garden, and I'm looking this week. I'll be looking constantly at your videos that you put up. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.